Hey everybody, welcome to Breakfast All Day. Alonzo here with Matt and Christy. It's been an exciting week. I bought a ticket and went to a movie with regular folks yesterday in a non-press screening situation.
How'd it go?
It was very exciting. It was good. It was a restoration of a 1960s French film, so there were about 10 people there. But people wore masks, people sat apart. I had popcorn for the first time in literally 15 months.
Did you go in and say un film?
So you had to pre-purchase your tickets online. They weren't selling them at the door. At least I think they weren't. But the concession was open, and it was great.
It was La Piscine.
La Piscine,
right?
yes.
And you were at the Lemley Royal, right?
No, the Monica.
The Monica. Oh, okay.
Out in Santa Monica. So
yes.
The fish.
Nice.
No, the swimming pool.
The swimming pool.
Which it turns out was remade as a bigger splash.
Indeed. Well, cool. That's exciting. Did you feel nervous at all, or did you feel totally psyched and ready?
No, I have to say, like, there's something about being vaccinated that I just sort of feel like I'm good. I'm going to be thoughtful about other people, and I'm going to give folks space, and I'm going to follow the rules, and read the signs and do all the stuff. But I'm not worried.
I'm glad to hear that. Alonzo, you are a shining example of what our governor here in California is hoping a lot of folks will do. My lead for you guys today is this big financial incentive that the state is dangling out there for people to get vaccinated. They're offering $116.5 million total in prizes to people. And we all qualify for this lottery because we already are vaccinated. So if you live in the state of California, if you already are vaccinated, if this inspires you to get vaccinated, they're going to randomly give out $1.5 million to 10 people. And then they're going to have like $50,000 prizes all over the place here and there for folks who decide now to sign up.
And did we mention free donuts? There's free donuts.
There is still free donuts. Have you guys gotten your free donuts yet?
I have not.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
How does it work? Fucking delicious.
Was it?
If I were closer to a Krispy Kreme, I would have totally by now, but they're not near me.
What kind did you get, Matt?
I got just the straight up glazed donut.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how's it work? You walk in and you flash your card and you say, give me a donut?
Pretty much.
Okay.
It was very tempting to buy a lot more.
Well, that's the point, right?
Exactly.
Right.
It's a loss leader. They want to.
I mean, I know we know this. They would do it in, I believe, Ohio too. The fuck is wrong with us that we got to do a lottery promising prizes that people are going to get the vaccine?
West Virginia is doing that too. The governor rather of West Virginia had a very cute video where he's holding his bulldog, this giant bulldog named a baby dog. Baby dog wants you to get vaccinated, and I want you to get vaccinated. And it's really funny. And they're also offering prizes. It shouldn't take that, but if that works, then it incentivizes.
I mean, they should be offering free 5G chips to everybody.
There you go. Well, that's already thrown in. We volunteered for the polio vaccine. I don't know why this is suddenly a challenge.
Times have changed, but along those lines, I don't know if you guys saw that this week on Amazon, the Borat extras came out. Did you guys see that?
I saw that it happened. I haven't watched them. Yeah,
I watched them. We talked about them on KPCC Film Week, and it's a bunch of outtakes. And it's a longer version of the segment where Borat lives with the two QAnon conspiracy guys in their cabin. But he takes all of those little things that they believe, the crazy conspiracy theories that they believe, and they broke them out into individual 7 or 8 minute shorts that debunk all of their misbegotten beliefs. Like is there a chip in the vaccination?
Right.
Did Bill Gates stack up bricks at the Black Lives Matter protest for people to hurl? Does Hillary Clinton drink baby's blood? And they actually got a video of Hillary Clinton saying, "Hi, Jim and Jerry, it's Hillary Rodham Clinton." And then they cut back to Jim going, "Still can't stand her." So I don't know that they're going to actually change anyone's minds, but I like
the thing is,
intent.
she could say "I've never drank blood," and we're like, "Well, that's exactly what a blood drinker would say."
Yeah. I think we've moved into firmly post-logic territory with a lot of these folks. Real quick, going back real quick about the vaccination incentives. Did you see the video that Gonzo and Pepe the Prawn did that also are encouraging people to go vaccinated? And look, if you're not going to listen to me, listen to Pepe the Prawn. Come on.
Is it cute? Where do you find it?
It's on YouTube.
Okay. Did you guys watch the Friends reunion?
I watched like about the first third, and I was never a big Friends fan in the first place, so I just, and it didn't seem like they were going to get when they trot out James Corden as the interviewer. You know, you're not going to really learn anything deep.
No. What's amazing? Do you know that each of them got paid $2.5 million just to do this?
Yeah, that scans.
I mean,
Yeah,
I guess they're all
I'd buy
staying in
that.
solidarity with each other. They all get paid the same
Yeah,
amount.
as long as they got as long as they're still favored nations. That was the thing I admired most about those guys.
Yeah, I did not watch it, but I read enough about it and saw enough little clips that I feel like I watched it. Like Lady Gaga showing up at Central Perk to sing "Smelly Cat" with Phoebe.
Oh, I missed that part.
Yes, Phoebe. It's almost like intentionally a cheesy variety show scenario because Lisa Kudrow is sitting on the couch at Central Perk with her guitar singing "Smelly Cat," and then the door opens and it's Lady Gaga, and everyone applauds, and she happens to be carrying a guitar. She's like, "Hi, I was just walking by, and I thought maybe I'd come and join you." I mean, it's almost like intentionally, knowingly cheesy.
Gotcha. Well, they would like cut to people who sort of give their testimony about why they love the show, and sometimes it's BTS or David Beckham, but then sometimes it's one part that I thought was actually kind of effective. They talk to people around the world about why they love the show, and people talking about like it got them out of depression. These two friends from Ghana who when we were in college, we were too afraid to talk to girls. Like we would watch the show, and that kind of gave us the confidence. Blah blah blah. So there were a few moments that were interesting. If you're like a deep fan of the show and you want to see the moment where Matt LeBlanc dislocated his shoulder jumping into an easy chair like never before aired, now you get to see it.
Wow.
But yeah, whatever.
Matt, you don't care?
No, I don't care. I didn't watch it. Like, I watched the first couple seasons when it was on, when it first started, and then kind of just lost interest. And it's a stunning lack of robots or dragons in that show. So who cares? No superheroes.
Right. Speaking of superheroes, did you see that the trailer for Eternals came out? It was
Yes.
very exciting. Chloe Zhao's Eternals. We're talking about Songs My Brother Taught Me, her
Yes.
first film, during our Patreon today. So please join us for that. That's our Off the Menu this month. But the trailer for her next movie, Eternals, came out, and it looks beautiful. You got all those magic hour glow, and the establishing shots and the sunsets, and it looks beautiful.
Cool.
But also you have Angelina Jolie as a superhero.
I'm still trying to not watch trailers, but yeah, I'm excited.
I mean, things like that, I just don't know how you avoid them. I mean, there are things like if you're on Twitter, and I know you guys don't care about baseball, but there's this crazy play that happened in the Cubs game yesterday that was like the entirety of my Twitter feed.
Oh, it keeps popping up, but I just like scroll past.
Was
it.
that the one where like the amazing error that
Right.
the guy steals home and then
It was like
the
a
batter ends
2
up getting a double.
It should have been like a 2-out ground out single.
I watched that, and I hardly watch baseball, but like I know enough. I was like, oh, this is fucking amazing. This is like the Three Stooges playing ball.
It was bad. Somebody actually put like yakety sax to the background of it while it was playing. So that was good. Amazon has indeed purchased MGM for nearly $9 billion. What do you guys think about that?
Well, to be clear, because I've seen some people who are confused about this, they have not bought like the legendary old musicals of MGM and like the whole pre 1960 whatever period. That is what Ted Turner bought, which then Warner Brothers bought, and so they have the sort of MGM UA, I guess. So MGM as it exists right now as a production entity, which mainly is like the Bond movies and The Handmaid's Tale, and I'm not sure what else they do. And then their IP now will include stuff like the Rocky movies and RoboCop and the Pink Panther series.
Oh my God, they're gonna brand the delivery drones like RoboCop. That'll be amazing.
Well, that's what somebody said. An OCP bought RoboCop. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is the water we swim in right now, where these guys just have money to burn, and like, is it good for audiences? Is it bad for audiences? Is it good for creatives? Is it bad for creatives? I honestly don't know, but I mean, it is a thing where, this is a company that is now not going to live or die by how much money the entertainment division makes, which can be a good thing, but can also be a bad thing if they just treat it like the division that sells shoes. So I don't know.
Is it just
Yeah,
more
I mean,
product, you know?
I have a couple thoughts. Like one of them, first of all, it's a shame that MGM doesn't have a proper studio, because now we can't constantly joke about them turning that into a distribution center. But what's a little concerning is what kind of stuff are they going to be producing that subtly shows like, hey, Amazon's great, right? Like Washington Post ran this whole bunch of ads on their front page of the site a few days ago that was like, Amazon is doing this to get the minimum wage up and blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, right. And Bezos owns the Washington Post, and that starts to feel dirty, right? And so with a production entity like MGM, does it get dirtier?
But I mean, it's nothing new. I mean, like GE has been
I-
dictating NBC News and NBC Universal content in general for ages. So, like, you know,
Sony, Comcast.
exactly.
Cable town.
Shineheart wigs. Yeah, this is an ongoing thing.
This is news for Alonzo and Alonzo only. Lindsay Lohan is going to star in a Netflix Christmas movie. Now, stop me if you think you've heard this one before. She is an engaged, spoiled hotel heiress who gets amnesia in a skiing accident and falls for a hunky blue-collar lodge owner and his precocious daughter.
Yeah. So
It's like check.
exactly. First of all, look, I've always been team Lindsay Lohan, and I want her to succeed. And I like that she's coming back to acting. I hope that she is game, because I think she's incredibly talented, and she's, you know, had some weird, you know, life detours. But I'm delighted about that. Of course, always excited to see a new Christmas movie. Plot wise, yes, this sounds like a cross between Overboard and the Hallmark Mira Sorvino movie, A Christmas to Remember, where she plays a Martha Stewart style TV host who gets in a car accident, gets amnesia, and winds up getting rescued by widower Cameron Matheson, who has 3 adorable children. I'm game. It's now, Netflix, unlike Hallmark, does not crank these out quite like the sausage. So because they're announcing it now, it means we're probably not seeing it until Christmas 2022.
Can you wait that long?
Could they name it
I'm going to have
Overboard?
to, I guess.
Can we name it Overboard 2 Snowboard?
That's good.
Oh.
Snowboard, that'd be cute. I like that.
There you go.
Snowboard for the holidays. Yeah.
Snowboard.
Snowboard to the head.
And she has had really great comic timing, Lindsay
Yes.
Lohan. So hopefully she can bring a little spunk and a little spark to what is maybe becoming kind of a predictable stage genre. Yes, or
I mean, it is.
That's not a bug; it's a feature.
Exactly. The predictability is baked right in. But I mean, like Vanessa Hudgens, I think, is having a very fun time doing these silly Princess Switch movies. So yeah, I'm down for more actresses. Look, you know, as a female friend of mine who is way too smart to be watching these movies, always says, she goes, I love these movies because they're always centered on women's stories, and it's always about, you know, women with interesting jobs. And so yeah, I think that that actresses, when you step into a Christmas movie, you are almost guaranteed to be number one on the call sheet. And so there are a lot of areas in the entertainment industry where that's not the case.
They have interesting jobs, but then they get amnesia and they forget what those jobs were.
Exactly. And then they find how good
Princess
they
is
are
an interesting job.
baking cookies. Yes. Well, the princess, which she starts as a baker and then becomes a princess. So it's just like fantasy upon fantasy. You know?
That's really funny.
Princess is an
Timothee
interesting
Chalamet.
job unless you're Meghan Markle.
Or yeah.
Right. That's true. Timothee Chalamet is going to play young Willy Wonka in Wonka, a Warner Brothers movie. He will sing and dance. But before you boo, it's from Paddington director Paul King.
Yes. That's the saving grace here.
I would rather him do a Paddington 3.
Well, sure, we all want that. But like, I mean, look, trust me, no one is more concerned about the Wonka legacy than I am. It's the first movie I ever saw to theaters, probably the movie I've seen the most times in my life, the original 1971 Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Prequels in general, I'm not a giant fan of, although I did like Cruella, which we'll talk about later today. And you know, there's a lot of red flags here, but I kind of trust Timothee Chalamet casting. I think that's a fun concept, and I really love the two Paddington movies, and they've entrusted to that guy. So I am officially adopting a wait and see on this one, which obviously we should do for every production, but this one especially.
Yes. In more Timmy news, the French Dispatch has a release date. This is the new Wes Anderson movie. It's going to debut at Cannes and then play the New York Film Festival and then come out theatrically on October 22nd.
Yes.
More Timmy.
And then also, I don't know if you had this, if you have the list, and forgive me if I'm jumping ahead, but speaking of movies at Cannes this year, Annette, the English language musical directed by Leos Carax, that's going to open the festival this year, is opening in theaters in early August, and then it's going to premiere on Amazon Prime August 20th. You're
Matt,
muted.
you're muted. Matt, you're muted.
If you had told me I was muted because of the leaf blower nearby. If you had told me last year one of the highlights of 2021 would be that we would get not one but two movies that the Sparks brothers are involved in, I would not have believed you. But we are getting a documentary from Edgar Wright about the Sparks brothers, and then they've also worked on Annette.
Yeah, they did all or some of at least of the original songs in the film, so that's exciting.
That'll be fun. Also opening on October 22nd is Last Night in Soho. Speaking of Edgar Wright.
Yes, let's see how it all ties together.
Yes. So it kind of feels like almost a normal award season when the big stuff is playing the New York Film Festival and then coming out in October, and like they're staking out those weekends. It almost feels like we're back to normal in some ways.
Well, and since you bring it up, the Academy announced this week that they are going back to the regular calendar. So December 31st is now once again going to be the cutoff. Yes.
But streaming is eligible.
Streaming is eligible,
sorry,
but we're back to, we're going to have a 10-month eligibility period to make up for the 14-month eligibility period for the last Oscars. So yeah, as far as the timing of releases, we're now back to looking at the end of the year as being the cutoff.
But then the actual Oscars are a little bit later. They're like March 27th. The nominations are February 8th, and then the actual awards are March 27th. Of course, they were like late April this past year.
Yeah, April 25th this year. So
but they used to always be in March, right? Like it used to be fairly late back in the day. And I love that, like, oh yeah, the Golden Globes are shut down. Good. We're going back to taking a long time to do it. Fuck those guys.
And they bumped it up to like late February because they wanted to close that campaign period because so many shenanigans were going on.
Right. I suspect the cancellation of the Globes this year probably does have some factor there. So we'll see how that all goes. I personally like them earlier because just then we're done with it, you know.
Yes. Kim Kardashian is being sued by several of her former gardeners and maintenance people who say that she withheld taxes from their paychecks, but then didn't pass it along to the government. And also didn't pay them overtime and for meals and for breaks. She was worker fraud.
For a second, I thought you were going to be saying like, oh, she was paying them under the table because they were, they had questionable status as citizens. But she was withholding and not.
Yeah. There's several people accuse her of that, and also not paying overtime. And
isn't she a lawyer yet?
She's not. But I saw one of the things I scrolled past on my Twitter feed was a little tease for an upcoming Keeping Up with the Kardashians episode where they're like, law school is hard as fuck.
Yes, it is.
Unless you're Elle Woods in Legally Blonde and you say, what? Like it's hard? So maybe, I don't know. It depends on who you are. You guys see Elliot Page is all buff.
Yes.
The shirtless Instagram pic that he posted.
I sent that around to everybody.
You did.
Dude is fucking shredded.
For sure. And I mean, like, I think there's a very weird gray area about cis people talking about trans people's bodies, because that becomes such a danger zone to get into, like, speculation about, have you had surgery? Have you not had surgery? Have you had the hormones? Have you not had hormones? Like, most of that stuff is none of our fucking business. But that Elliot posted that photo himself on Instagram. So it's like, all right, well, the summer is yours, sir.
Yeah. And I think, this will sound really defensive. Like, I'm just pointing out, like, fuck, that dude put in a lot of work to get that shredded.
Clearly. Yeah. That's
Speaking of shirtless,
As Cher once said, if this body came in a bottle, you'd buy it.
Speaking of hunky shirtless people,
Mm-hmm.
Shailene Woodley and Aaron Rodgers went on vacation to Hawaii with Miles Teller and his wife Keely, and everyone's all smiles and they're all in bikinis and they're all shirtless and hiking to waterfalls. And so Miles Teller and Shailene Woodley, this is their coda from both Spectacular Now and Divergent.
Indeed,
they're all pals.
Good to know, because I mean, is Miles Teller one of those people that you hear that people don't like working with or something? I can't remember if that's true or not. But the fact that this actress has not only worked with him twice, but is taking vacations with him, I think is clearly a sign that they get along great.
Yes, Miles Teller's wife posted all kinds of pictures of them frolicking in Hawaii.
Nice.
I remember, maybe it was Divergent. When I was still at Rotten Tomatoes, we sent Gray to do an interview with them, and she asked them like what their original screen names were for chat. And Shailene's was Shailene Beanie, and Miles was Little Pimp Miles.
Oh.
Okay.
Neat. I did a Q&A with him. Gosh, it must have been around the time of Whiplash. It must have been like around like awards time. I did a Q&A with him after a screening. And he's just like tall and confident and like broad shouldered and like has that thing where like he walks through a crowd at the ArcLight and it's like the sea like parts for him and like head held high. He's got like that actor confidence thing, that magnetic different thing that we as mere mortals do not have.
That mutant charisma.
Speaking of charisma, Howard University is naming its College of Fine Arts for Chadwick Boseman.
Yes, I saw that. That's very nice.
A lovely gesture. Kelly Clarkson is taking over Ellen's time slot.
Yep.
Starting in next fall. Have you guys ever watched Kelly Clarkson's talk show?
Yes.
No. Have you, Alonzo? Really?
Yes, we have it in TiVo. I mean, we don't watch it every day, but when somebody fun is on, yeah.
You TiVo Kelly Clarkson's talk show?
Yes.
What else
Sorry,
is
did
in
you
your
forget who you were
TiVo?
talking to, Christy?
Hello.
Wait, what?
Because it's something. Look, she is very like, you know, like okay, when the show went into lockdown and she was having to do it from her house, half the time like she wouldn't even wear makeup. She was like, screw it, this is me, and we're just gonna do it. She is, I mean, I'm not going to say unaffected because come on, she's in show business, but she's a lot less affected than a lot of other talk show hosts. And she'll ask the goofy question and she'll figure out fun games to play with people. And she gets real competitive about it. Like she wants to win when she plays these games.
I feel like she totally fits into your Hallmark wheelhouse.
And yes, she'll have. She did an episode where she brought like it was like Holly Robinson Pete and Lacey Chabert and Candace Cameron Bure all at the same time. Yeah, it's look. It's I don't like I said I don't watch it every day, but of the daytime talk shows, she's the one to watch.
This explains it. Now that you say that they have Hallmark Channel people on, now it all clicks.
That was like one time, but I was watching it well before that.
How do you have time to watch the Kelly Clarkson show all the time?
I'm telling you, I don't watch it all the time, but if there's a guest on that I want to see, I'll watch it. And generally I'll watch that segment. She does a lot of like heartwarming stuff with like, oh, here's a school that raised money for blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, fast forward. I don't care.
So
right.
it makes
I guess
sense
my point
then.
was it feels like the same vibe as Hallmark. Not so much that there's a crossover.
It's
but
cozy.
just kind of in that same,
it is
the Venn
cozy.
diagram would be
Sure,
have a lot of, you know, big crossover.
Yeah.
And it makes sense too that if she is stepping into Alan's sneakers, that it's the same kind of like, at least in terms of brand, maybe not in terms of truth, but like
Does she need to be taking meme pills?
Right. The upbeat kind, like maybe she truly is who Ellen always said she was.
There you go.
Right.
Yes. It's a good fit. I can see if the Ellen audience that hasn't already been watching Kelly's show will take to it, I think.
Did you guys read the GQ article about Johnny Knoxville?
No.
So there's going to be a Jackass 4.
Yes.
And also he like he stopped dyeing his hair during the quarantine and he's like silver.
Nice.
And it looks really good on him.
I bet.
And he still dresses the way he always did. He's still like lanky and self-effacing and he's working on a Jackass 4, but he's like 50. And so this is sort of the thing that's amazing. Like Johnny Knoxville made it to 50.
and they're saying like this is the last one for sure, right?
Right.
Now,
Yeah, the only part of that I didn't read though. I just read that there was some comment about he responding to Bam Margera not being in Jackass 4, and Margera's really pissed about it. And Johnny's response basically like, "Look, we wish the best for Bam, and we hope he gets well."
Because of his substance abuse problems.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
By the way, jumping back to the Friends reunion, Matt LeBlanc has also stopped dyeing his hair, and it looks great on him.
See, guys can do that. If I didn't do that, you'd have all kind of tweaky, freaky strands popping up.
No, I know there's a horrible double standard, and I, for one, like think more women should just go full Susan Sontag. But you know, like I get it. Society is terrible about that kind of stuff, as it is about so many things.
Yes. Did you guys see a story in the LA Times this week about Danny Masterson and the rape accusations against him, and how it has like allowed all this secret Scientology stuff to come out? There was a pretrial hearing, a preliminary hearing this past week to determine whether there was enough evidence to bring these cases to trial, and there will indeed be a trial. It was like a 4-day long preliminary hearing, but all the secret Scientology stuff came out about how like they don't want people to go to the police on each other. They have their own system of handling.
They want to take care of it
things.
in-house. Yeah.
That the lawyers would pressure these women and their families not to say anything.
The best part is when Masterson's lawyer like uses some Scientology book to cite different things, explaining whatever, and then the prosecuting attorney enters that book into evidence and says, "Thank you, that's very helpful."
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. And this article quotes Mike Binder, who was the Scientology spokesman for a long time, who is now one of its most vocal critics. So that will be interesting to see what comes out of that, if we shine a light on their weird ways. And then a bit of sad news before we go on to Marquees. Eric Carle died at age 91, author of The Very Hungry Caterpillar and Brown Bear, What Do You See? All these children's favorites.
Yes.
I definitely read those when I was a kid. Then I definitely read those with Nick when he was a little kid.
It's been a tough year. We lost Beverly Cleary not that long ago as well. But, you know, these folks had good runs and they leave behind a legacy.
The very important news that we skipped over was in an interview. I don't remember who she was talking to, but Emma Stone was asked about how uncomfortable some of the clothes she had to wear was for Cruella. And she said not only were the corsets tough, but she did not like the underwear. And the most important news was that she prefers to not ever wear underwear. So just sharing that.
Oh, I didn't see that. What fine publication included that tidbit?
Page 6, I believe.
Well, if they remake Schwarzenegger's Commando, we know who they can be.
Well, as we will talk about in Cruella, the clothes are the best part of the movie. I think so, at least. I am not as much of a fan of it as Alonzo is. So, anyway.
We'll get there. We'll get to that.
We will. Bring on the Marquees, man.
Yes, sir.
Quite a few Marquees this week. Thank you to those that sent them in. First up, Geoff Swanson sent us the latest pictures from the Riverview Theater. A excellent quote for going back to the theaters. Darth Vader saying, "We would be honored if you would join us." Right in time for, I believe, the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back?
Well, that would be 1980. Right? 'Cause Star Wars was 77. Empire was 80.
Right. So right after the 40th.
Okay.
Yes.
I was close.
Sure.
And they also go on to say on the other marquee, "Thank you for all your support this last year from the Riverview Theater."
So glad they're opening up again.
Yay.
Yeah. And then John Forsyth, who is actually a Twitter user at BlackBear93, sent this in from the State Theater. "Vaccines are a gateway drug to concerts." Nancy Hibbard also sent us a picture of this one. I went with John's. But thank you both for sending that in. John also sent us a picture of him going to a movie at long last. He writes, "Been waiting for today for so long. It's great to be back in the theater. Hashtag COVID Independence Day. Hashtag A Quiet Place."
Nice.
So there he is going to see A Quiet Place.
Good job.
Our last group of pictures are from Raul Vasquez in the UK. He says, hello, things are finally opening up in Harrogate, UK, where I have been for the last 2 months. Here are some pictures for the 2 local theaters. Incidentally, Peter Rabbit 2 is showing at both theaters. This is the Everyman Theater, and you can see it showing Peter Rabbit 2 and Nomadland, and it says, welcome back, Harrogate. I assume that that's the pronunciation as opposed to like Worcestershire.
Harrogate.
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 Pronounced Asweepe.
Right, exactly.
I knew one of you couldn't resist that one.
Harrogate. Anyway, Beatrix Potter is from the Lake District, which is nearby. He also wants to catch Nomadland on the big screen, but it's a midnight showing, so I'm waiting for the weekend. Cheers. So that's the Everyman. The Odeon Theater at the Harrogate Civic Society, they put up a plaque, opened on 28th September 1936. Wow. That is a long time. Originally, it was a single screen cinema for an audience of 1,647 people. That's huge.
Wow.
That's gigantic. It was designed by cinema chain architect Harry Whedon in the fashionable Art Deco style, costing nearly £32,000 to build. It was the first building on the site, intended originally for an abortive Harrogate Opera House. Internal conversions in 72, 89, and 2001 provided multi-screens, and in 96, the cinema was featured on the 19-pence postage stamp. So a little history, and this is the outdoors of the Odeon. Fanatical about film, they are. We see that there's a Black Widow poster up. So Raul also finishes, P.S. Matt, please review El Santo contra La Llorona. You can probably find it on YouTube. Look, I don't know about you guys. I am 1,000% down with doing a Santo movie for one of our movies one day. I'm 1,000,000% in.
I could, on a slow week, I could be game, sure. Christy, do you know the Santo movies?
I don't.
The Mexican wrestler.
And there's a great song about him by Southern Culture on the Skids, about where they say he's this Mexican wrestler, and he's got, you know, like all luchadors, he wears a mask. His is silver, but he's also like a Batman kind of character
like
in Mexico, in that, like, he fights crime and he drives around this little convertible, and he goes up against like vampires and other monsters. La Llorona,
sounds very silly.
Aztec mummies, the whole thing. They're a lot of fun.
Vampire women.
There you go. So thanks everybody for watching. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, check us out at BeFast All Day on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and why not visit our Patreon page? We are at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. We're recapping The Handmaid's Tale, and as Christy mentioned earlier, our monthly off the menu selection, which our subscribers pick for us. We're going to be talking about Chloe Zhao's Songs My Brothers Taught Me, because every month we go back and review a movie that at least 2 of us haven't seen, that we've never reviewed on any of our shows, and so that's what we're doing this time. We're very excited to talk about that one for Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and lots of other fun stuff coming up that only our subscribers get. So patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Have a good week. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time. Bye.